How is Joe Biden's approach to India likely to vary from what we've seen from President Trump over the last 4 years? There is largely a bipartisan consensus when it comes to India, but there are concerns about which aspects of the relationship will stay the same and which are likely to change.
I think broadly this will be an area of continuity, actually. The United States has made a strategic decision about 20 years ago that it was going to have a stronger relationship with India, a warmer relationship with India. And, you know, it really begins with the Clinton administration. It goes through Bush, Obama, and Trump. The big difference would be, I think, twofold. One, Biden is not fundamentally a protectionist, and Trump is. So on some of the issues relating to trade and immigration, I think Biden will be a much better person, in my opinion, for America, because he will be embracing a more open America, but it will also help India and other countries around the world that do business with America and trade with America, send college students to America. The other big difference, I think, is Biden will be much more engaged than Trump. I mean, the truth of the matter is Donald Trump really did not do much as president. There were a few areas where he got involved, you know, a few high-profile kinds of things like the North Korean negotiations that went nowhere because he convinced himself that he could get a Nobel Peace Prize if he were to pull it off. But other than that, day to day, if you were to say what is the Trump policy toward India, there is no policy. I mean, he likes Modi, he's done a few political events with Modi, but that hasn't translated into a systematic strategic policy. You're more likely to see that from Biden, who is being advised by a group of very seasoned people. But broadly speaking, the administration remains, you know, the Biden people remain very well disposed towards India. The problem in this relationship is that the Indians haven't figured out what they want. The last time the Indians made a big ask of the United States, it was a gigantic ask, which was the nuclear deal, asking that the U.S. reverse 30 years of policy, sanctions, break a norm that it has been trying to impose around the world, and the U.S. said yes. So the track record is that if India gets its act together, figures out what it wants, and makes a big request, an ask of the United States, it is likely to be granted. The problem is India does not seem to. India has not figured out where it wants to go with this relationship.
There is a concern in some quarters in India that President Biden and Vice President Harris are more likely than President Trump to interfere in the domestic matters of India. Do you see greater interference or public comments on issues like Kashmir, Article 370 or human rights?
I think there's probably a slightly larger, let me put it differently. I think that's probably true, that they are slightly more likely to get involved, but I would say slightly, because they're pros, they understand that there are limits to what you can do. But yeah, I mean, a Democratic administration is always going to be a little bit more zealous about speaking up on what it regards as human rights abuses. I frankly don't think that that's such a bad thing for India. I think India is a great democracy. It should welcome scrutiny. It should welcome human rights organizations. It should welcome people holding it to high standards. That's one of the sad things I've seen in India over the last few years has been expelling foreign human rights organizations and non-governmental organizations and foundations. This is the kind of thing Russia and China do. India should not be doing this kind of thing. It should welcome this. It should stay open. Sometimes you'll get criticized for things that you think are unjust, but I mean, Indians believe in a free press, in a free society, and people should have the ability to make those judgments.
China is a common enemy for India and for the United States. How do you see President Biden's overall approach on China being different from what we saw under President Trump?
I think, honestly, neither Trump nor Biden are grappling with the central issue that we face now. And as you know, I devote a couple of chapters in the book to this. We are in a fundamentally different world. We have entered a bipolar world. I was surprised when doing the research for the book, Rahul, to discover how fast and how far China has gotten. So the U.S. is the largest economy in the world by far, but China is number 2, and China is larger than the next 4 economies put together. So if you look at defense spending, US is number one, China is number two, but again, it is larger than the next four countries put together. Only 10 years ago, Russia was twice the size of China in military spending. Now it's the opposite. So we are in a new world. And I don't think either Trump or Biden have figured out what is the mix of cooperation and competition that you are going to apply to China. It can't just be competition. The world is too interconnected.